popularity contest. If children called one another on the phone and took official surveys that were tabulated and then posted on CNN and CNBC and MSNBC and Fox and NPR, if your everyday approval rating as a parent, and while we're at it, as a person in the workplace, and as a spouse, and as a friend, were posted every day for all the world to see, what would it be? 40%? 30%? 80%? 20%? How worried would you be about bumping it up? Would you even know how to bump your approval rating up? Sometimes doing the necessary or right thing would take your approval rating down. Would you be willing to do the right thing and have your approval rating go down? Enter Jesus, headed into Jerusalem on a donkey, speaking repeatedly in terms of brother or sister, not parent or child. God had tried parenting the Israelites for generations, sometimes succeeding, often not succeeding. So Jesus comes into Jerusalem, and the judges hold up the palms. 10, 9.5, 10, 10, 9.5, 10. Fabulous scores by the judges for Jesus, but not Jesus as our brother. The judges and the crowds all had different roles for Jesus. 24/7 on-call physician, a 4- or 5-star general in God's anti-Roman army, a Robin Hood against the tax collectors, a living example of the lines spoken thousands of years before his time: speak softly and carry a big stick. There's an old saying about politicians and the public: today's rooster is tomorrow's feather duster. There's an even older saying spoken by Jesus himself to his closest disciples. He asked them, "Who am I?" And those who are quick with their theology and knowledge say the Messiah, the Christ. But what does that mean? Protector from financial hardship, the one who blesses hard work and wise spending, the protector from disaster and loss, the one who provides for a good retirement, member of my political party but not yours, member or waver of my nation's flag but not yours. The man who, if he were alive today, would drive my kind of car and live in my kind of house and hold my type of views on life and child rearing and how things ought to be done in school, in the city, in our homes, at church. There's another old saying: don't jump on the bandwagon if there's a chance the wheels might fall off. And Palm Sunday, almost everyone wanted to jump on the bandwagon, but the bandwagon was built on falsities and half-truths. There was no way the wheels were going to stay on. It was the grandest day of everyone trying to tell Jesus who he was to be. But only one was faithfully serving Jesus. The rest were all armchair quarterbacks getting up out of their chairs, racing out onto the field, expecting to call the play and get the ball, and telling Jesus where to go to receive the ball. Their agenda. If you've ever been on a team like that, you know it's not much of a team. And if you've ever been part of a family or a group like that, you know some days it's hard to be part of that group. March 2012 in the Atlantic Monthly. There's an interesting article about the history of General Motors and the government bailout. Ask anyone here, what does General Motors do? And we'll say build cars. But the article goes on to say the focus at General Motors changed. Corporate started to focus on how to remain the biggest company. Workers became more a part of the United Auto Workers Union than employees of GM, and together they fell apart, forgetting first and foremost they were automakers, while other groups were making autos and doing the best job they could at it. A quote from the article, GM never settled on what it wanted to be beyond gigantic, while the upstart companies decided to make cars. The irony of Palm Sunday is the sheer joy, the expectations, the size of the gathering around Jesus bumps up against the fact that at the same time everyone is forgetting it's all about Jesus and his agenda. Even those closest to Jesus refused to let him be Jesus. Judas Iscariot had his angle, tried to push Jesus into Judas' view of who Jesus should be. Iscariot means dagger bearer, by the way. And moving beyond the dagger, Peter pulls out a full-length sword in the Garden of Gethsemane, tries to lop off a soldier's ear, actually tries to lop off a soldier's head, probably hits the armor and takes off an ear. Peter was trying to protect his understanding of Jesus. Daggers, swords, betrayals. It's a reminder we as humans can become deadly, trying to make Jesus what we want Jesus to be, or protect him from who we think he needs protecting from. Palm Sunday reminds us that these palms can hold or heal or help or comfort or slap. And so Jesus is brought before the religious teachers of his day and questioned. And literally the wisest and most religious of his day began to slap him. I have no cute story, no personal word I wish to share, other than that to be human is to stoop pretty low sometimes. And with the best of intentions to injure the very God we seek to serve and the very humans God loves. And it really hurts to say it, but we've all confused our ideas of what's important with Jesus' ideas of what's important. And if we've any self-awareness at all, we know his thoughts are often not our thoughts. And so it is we come to Palm Sunday with confusion. Because the only one that lets Jesus be Jesus, the only one that manages to get it right, the only one that serves Jesus with no mistakes or false expectations, no turning on Jesus, is the donkey. The donkey simply carries Jesus into Jerusalem and lets Jesus be Jesus. John Wesley, the founder of United Methodism, has a little donkey in him. He once said, with regard to matters of faith, think and let think, except for Jesus Christ crucified and risen. I bet there's not a person here among us who has not tried to change someone, who has not decided not to let someone think and let think. And yet, all we are called to do is share Jesus' story and let Jesus work with other people as Jesus needs to work with them. All we are called to do is share the story, the love, the hope, the faith, even our own experiences of God. But in the end, we need to let Jesus be who Jesus needs to be for others. In the end, we need to let Jesus be who Jesus needs to be for us. To trust his guidance, his wits, his wisdom, his ways above our own. Contrary to the bumper sticker, Jesus doesn't ask to be our co-pilot. May God give each of us this Holy Week to discover where we need to put Jesus in the driver's seat and when we need to simply get in the back seat and hush our voices and let Jesus take us where he needs to take us. I have a couple places I need to do just that, and I expect you may too. So may God bless your Holy Week as you seek to simply follow Jesus' leading